Here's a template again, a voting template. And I just use this one to illustrate the fact that you can actually put actions that Active Studio does on a button. So for instance, if I want the point-to-point tool, I click that button and I've got a point-to-point. I turn it off with that. I click this button and I've got a protractor. So I can actually use the protractor now to illustrate how to measure that angle CAB. This is one for the visual learners. The shapes in here have been told that they can only be dragged along a path to a specific position. And here we've taken this square, and now we take this square, and it proves Pythagoras' theorem. Nice one for the visual learners, that. Here's one that is a show and hide action. You're all aware that Active Studio works in layers. Well, what I'm doing with these buttons here with questions on, do giraffes have predators in the wild? For instance, when I click it, it brings an answer onto the whiteboard there. It looks quite impressive, doesn't it? Giraffes' main predators are lions, leopards, and hyenas. Are all giraffes the same? There are 9 species, and so on. Here's one from the image library. We're doing some human biology now, and the labels here have got intelligence insofar as I click the mouth, and it pops to the right place. If I click the liver, it also labels the diagram there as well. Using that picture again, I've just dragged it across the page and put it on a template. Here we could be voting now and using the votes to actually test students' understanding of the functions of the liver. Here's a nice one. It always works well, this. Anywhere in the world you'll find on Google Maps, and here is Riverside. Actually, under the green arrow is the Mission Inn. So this is an aerial photograph. Well, beneath the aerial photograph, I've taken the Google map that corresponds directly to it. And using this, what we call spyglass tool, I can actually see right through the aerial photograph to see the map features beneath. Now, the Active Resource Manager allows you to pack your resources up into a small file which you could pop onto a USB, take wherever you go, and unpack them. And then the Resource Manager will put your files in exactly the same folder structure as where they came from. Here's one of the resources. Thought I'd like to show you this. This works with a rollover. You get different results, obviously, as you roll over each of the different elements. You get data on any of the elements here simply by clicking on it. And I was browsing through this and I found a very interesting element. Actually, there's one called Prometheum. We can also have our profiles anywhere we want to be. So if we pack up our profile, in other words, we save our profile, pop it on a USB key, we can have Active Studio working exactly the way it is working on our own board. So if I'm a mobile teacher, I can take my profile anywhere and install it on any machine, and I can have the tools that I want. So I could have, if I were a math teacher, for instance, I could have a geometry toolbar. If I was teaching algebra, I could have an algebra toolbar. So I've shown you some of the major and some of the minor enhancements that come with version 3. To summarize, we've got 2 enhancements, I think, which actually really suit new users: the dashboard-driven interface with the access to the online services, and the lesson building tools, the flip chart builder. For the more experienced users, they'll get excited by point-and-click programming, I'm sure, and the pack-and-go resource manager. Now, there's just one more thing I'd like to show you that I haven't shown you, which is an interesting development, I feel, that Promethean have done. Here we go. I'm going to go to Studio Settings, and I'm going to go to what's called the gesture wheel, and I'm going to enable gestures. Okay. Now, gestures are another means of accessing Active Studio commands. So what I've done here is I've put a gesture available that if I flick my pen backwards, I go backwards a page. So every time I go backwards a page. If I go forwards a page. If I flick my pen upwards, I'll change it from a select tool to a pen tool. So now I've got a pen. So that's Active Studio version 3. I hope you enjoy using it. You'll be able to download it. It's a free download. So thanks very much for listening.